Manifestation. How do we create what we want in our life? We can, but it doesn't just come through thinking about it. I wrote about it many, many years ago in my first book, How to Create and Manifest. But I think it really helps to feel yourself. Say if you want a car, feel yourself driving the car and enjoying it. So it becomes part of you. So then you draw it in. I always loved Gianni Versace's work. When I first saw it in New York, my heart just started to sing. It just made me feel really happy. And from then on, I was, quite a fan. It had such beautiful, he used the best fabrics. And I used to go into the Landmark, and he had these, in the showroom, had these most beautiful curtains. They were this Versace fabric on one side, and on the other side was silk. And I went in once a week and used to feel them and just sit and dream. And one day they said, you love this, why don't you buy it? I said, well, it's really expensive. And then one day I was in Brisbane in Australia, I went into the Versace shop and I was again admiring the beautiful fabrics and curtains, and just gave me a tonic to go in there and sit and soak up the experience. So one of the shopkeepers, he says, oh, you really like the fabrics and love Versace? I said, yes, I would love a Versace home. And he said, wouldn't we all, dear? When I got back to Hong Kong, I woke up and Versace had been killed. And, we were all so upset about that. But when I woke up, Gianni Versace in spirit was sitting at the end of my bed, and he says, you can have a Versace house. I said, well, you may be dead, but your stuff is really expensive. I couldn't afford a whole house of Versace. And so then he disappeared. The next day, again, I woke up. And he says, you can have your Versace house. He said, go into the Landmark. They're closing down. Okay, so I went into the shop and asked the assistant. I said, are you closing down? He said, no. I said, can I speak to the manager? And the manager came out, and I said, I understand you're closing your shop. He said, well, how did you know? I said, you don't want to know. But have I got a deal for you? So we negotiated. I negotiated that I would buy just about everything in the shop for a really good price. And and I said, no, I want those curtains. I've felt them for the last 10 years. And he says, well, no, all the curtains, and, they have to go back to Italy. And I said, well, then no deal. I want my curtains. I felt they really belonged to me by then. So, yes, you're right. I've got my curtains, and they're hanging in the dining room. And so I have my Versace house. Then, about 3 weeks later, he appeared again, and I said, no, not you, I can't afford any more. And he said, they found the carpets, the original Gianni Versace carpets. And so, of course, I bought them. And I love them. I love my house. And I just really wanted to pay tribute to such a creative genius. He's absolutely amazing. And so every day I live in my house with joy. Now I live in England, which, is quite conservative. So, it was a bit bright for most people. But now I get calls from people who say, I'm feeling really low today. Can I come and have tea? I can never be depressed in your house. So I think it's the feeling you have in your heart. It's not just saying, I want this, I want that. But also when you say you want something, all your resistance comes up why you wouldn't deserve it. You know, you can't afford it, you're not good enough, you're not worthy. So you have to sort of let go of your old conditioning of, you know, my mother saying, well, who do you think you are? Oh, what a dampener. And, you know, some of the things, if you ask for it, you never get it, and all this, you know. So I let all that go and reprogram myself that I did deserve to have my Versace house and certain items of jewelry. In Hong Kong, there was the most wonderful sapphire in a shop in Kowloon. Mr. Lowe, I used to go with my friend Hendy. Once a week we'd go and look at this beautiful sapphire, and he had it in a safe because he was keeping it for his family. So every week we'd go over and say, can we have a look at the beautiful sapphire? It's about 26 carats and exquisite color. And it brought me joy when I looked at it. And it seemed like the stone was talking to me. Please let me out of here. So I'd say to Mr. Lowe every week, you know, the stone is dying. It can't stay in a black safety deposit box. It wants to be out in the world, enjoying and sparkling and making people happy. So this went on for years, must have been like 8 years. And then one day we went over and he says, okay, I've decided you can buy it. We were jumping for joy. We went and had a curry lunch, and halfway through I says, well, that's great. I can buy it, but how am I going to pay for it? We went gulp as the realization dawned. But anyway, I just saw myself wearing it, and the stone was happy, I was happy, and it brought joy to people when they saw the stone. So then, you know, a little while later, the money appeared. And I have my lovely sapphire stone today, and the stone is very happy because it gets out in the light. So that's the way you manifest and attract things to you. You can do it with physical objects. You can do it with, if you want a job. I did it myself. I was a secretary, and after I left my first husband, I had to support 2 children. So it's like, well, how can I support them? Not on a secretary's salary. So I needed to earn money. Hong Kong was a good place for earning money. However, I needed a qualification. I didn't go to university. And I thought, well, my boss makes a lot of money, so I'll do what he does. So I persuaded the company to send me to New York to take my stockbroking exams. I failed 3 times because my programming from my mother was, who do you think you are? You can't do numbers. My friends, like, are you crazy? I was 36 at the time, and I believed it. So even though I tried, I studied, I just couldn't make it. The 4th time I thought, no, I'm not having this anymore. I reprogrammed myself. I made myself a tape to get my mother off my back, telling me I deserved it, I could have it, all the positive things. And I played this tape, and I studied, and I persuaded the company, well, if you send me to Hawaii, I'll be relaxed and I'll get the exam. And guess what? I got 98% of the Series 7 exam because I believed I could have it, and I just saw myself being a stockbroker and money coming into me so I could provide for my children. And so when I got the exam, woohoo! And then my boss said, well, how are you going to get clients? So their way of doing things was cold calling, going through the phone book. I said, no, I don't think so. I'm not doing it. I refuse to do it. So my friend Maggie Britton had a morning program on the radio. So I said to Maggie, why don't we do a financial program once a week where people phone up and ask questions and we give them the answer, and it'll be really good. Bring more people to your show, I'll get clients hopefully. And Maggie says, well, what if you don't know the answer? I thought, well, I'll swat up during the week and say, tune in, I'll give you the answer next week. And I was successful because after I left the American brokerage firm, I started my own company because I wanted to make things really simple. The statement simple so people could understand what was going on. And I was honest, I would say, no, don't buy that, it won't do very well. And then I'd phone up in a year's time and say, well, it's time to buy that now. So things went really well. So creating what you want is really having a belief in yourself as well, that you can have